Howdy, welcome to the Bender Bunker, your online resource for B-Bender country guitars since 2017. In Volume 2 of our series, Tips and Tricks for First-Year Benders, where the Bunker endeavors to help you, the first-year bender, become a second-year bender and beyond. Because I remember from personal experience how challenging and hectic that first year can be as a new bender player. You got those new chord shapes to learn, the new bender mechanism, and it can get a little frustrating at times. I also have received many emails over the years here on the channel from first-year players telling me they've got a little too frustrated, and before they knew it, that bender guitar was in the closet or under the bed. They were only pulling it out a couple of times a year to regale family and friends with maybe some bastardized bender versions of the Eagles' Peaceful, Easy Feeling, and then back in the closet it went. And I don't want to see that happen. I think there's some real tips and tricks I can show you here that I learned during my first year that'll help you move along on your journey a little bit faster, get over some of those initial obstacles, and more importantly, start having fun with your bender guitar, because like anything else, if it's not fun, you're not going to want to do it. Now, this is Volume 2 of the series. Volume 1 came out last year. We called that the 3-point system. That kicked things off. I'll put a link to that up here on the top of the screen. That'll be your expressway over to Volume 1. And that's where we covered the 3 most common chord shapes and bender ideas to get you started and get you into that country sound we specialize here in the Bunker in a hurry. And we're going to be definitely taking a lot of those ideas from Volume 1, bringing them over here to Volume 2, because these are companion pieces. So if you haven't checked out Volume 1, I highly recommend doing so either before or after this, and the link is right there. What we're doing here in Volume 2 is what the thumbnail's promising, is I'm going to try and show you the most simple ideas I can come up with on the fretboard and let the bender do the heavy lifting for us, and you can start playing some ideas today over some basic 3-chord changes, 1-4-5 patterns that's so common in country music. And what you heard in that intro, that was this D, G, and A, okay? And I took 3 different passes in that video you just watched to kick this off. And each of those 3 is going to have its own chapter at the bottom of your screen, so you can navigate with your mouse to each of the 3, start with the one you want, and also skip all the talking right now. You're welcome. So basically, I started with the most simple thing I could, a D chord, and then I moved that D chord to correspond to the G and A chord changes and let my bender get us into Twangsville in a hurry. Sounded like this. Again, just a D chord and letting the bender do all the heavy lifting for us. In Pass 2, I just used 2 chord shapes. I did what we call our bender box for D, and then I switched over to a 7th shape. Instead of a D chord, it was sort of a D7 shape for G and A. That sounded like this. And then on the 3rd pass, I'm calling that the 5-1 lick, because I'm kind of starting off with a bit of an A chord, our 5 chord of that 1-4-5 pattern of our backing track, and going right back to the 1 chord, the D, and that's just one shape, and then I'm moving it up for G and A up and down the neck. That sounded like this. So there you go, very simple but very effective, and I think, again, like the thumbnail promises, you can start using these easy and simple shapes along with your bender guitar today to start having fun over a basic 1-4-5 country backing track. All right, if that sounds good to you, go grab that bender guitar. And before we go much further, I do want to ask for a little bit of help in supporting the channel. If you're of a mind to do so, just give us a quick thumbs up if you're enjoying the content or looking forward to this lesson. Let's let that YouTube algorithm know you are indeed enjoying the hot bender action, and you might want to see more of it in your video feed moving forward. If you're not a subscriber, we'd love to have you in the Bunker family. We've got that subscription button waiting for you in the bottom corner. You know, we've got over 85 bender-related videos waiting for you on our main YouTube channel page, and we're trying to put out more content all the time. So consider being a subscriber, hit that subscription button so you don't miss anything moving forward. And then finally, you can see right there the ceiling fan spinning. I am filming this in the middle of June here in Central Texas, where the Bunker is located. And it's toasty. It's already up to the mid-90s, and we're forecasted to get a lot hotter. It is going to be a crazy summer, and as such, I'm alarmed to say that the Bender Bunker beer fridge is dangerously low, and we could use your help. So we call that a virtual beer donation, amount of your choice, and if you'd like to send over a virtual beer to the Bunker, you can do so safely and securely via the Bunker's PayPal account, the link for which is always in the details section below each video. All right, that's all I've got for you. Let's get rolling now with Chapter 2 of Tips and Tricks for First-Year Bender, here at the Bender Bunker. Chapter 1, the D chord chapter, because in fact we are just using an open D chord and we're moving it up and down the neck to correspond to the D, G, and A backing track changes. And I'm just using that open D chord up and down the neck. That's the only shape you're going to need to know. So as such, we just covered that. All I need you to concentrate initially out of the gate here is what this bender mechanism is doing. engaged, unengaged, right? And then at the end of this, if you're really trying to capture a few of these licks verbatim, I will move the camera closer and we'll let you see what the pick hand is doing. So don't worry about that right now. Pay attention to the bender, and then I'll walk you through what we did here for the G chord section of our intro, which was... Again, never changed out of that open D chord position. I just moved it up here for G. That's 7/8/7. Two more up for A. And this up here was just a full octave of the original open D chord we started here. Okay, that's all you need to know. So again, at the end of this chapter, I'll move closer for the pick hand. So just watch this, and I will walk you through what's going on here. I'm starting by hitting the 3 and 2 strings together, taking the bender up and holding it so I can do the pick pattern. So the bender was engaged, unengaged. That's all that happened there. And of course, I'm using my little finger for that one extra accent note on the high E there on the third. Now we go to G. We're going to take this up here to the G position. As I'm sliding up, I'm pre-engaging the bender, because the first thing I'm going to do with the bender when I get up here in the G position with my D is I'm going to pre-engage so I can release it. That's the first thing you're going to hear. And then I'll do this pattern. So we're coming up with a pre-engage, and that comes down, and then it's up and down again on the bender. Again, we got a little finger doing the accent note on the high E there on the 8th. And then we're moving up 2 for A, and because the frets are getting a little bit closer, the little finger will be doing an accent note again on the high E 10th, but also reaching up to the 12th as well, and that's going to sound like... So we start with the bender unengaged. Again, most of these patterns here in this section are starting with the 3 and 2 string together. And then the high E. Bender down, up, high 12. And then we go up here to the octave D, and we just take the bender up, do this pattern, and let the bender down. That's all it is. And then in that backing track, I go back to the 5 chord, the A chord, just for a half beat before I start the pattern over again. And that's why you'll see me in the intro then go right back down to where we were for the A. Just hit it and take the bender up and down. It's all together. All right, that is the D chord chapter. Let's move the camera closer now so you can get a glance at what the pick hand's doing in greater detail. Okay, here's a real quick pass of what the pick hand is doing for the D chord chapter of the lesson. I'm just using my thumb and my index finger. There's no actual pick. It's just these 2 fingers alternating. We're starting here on our open D chord. I've got my thumb on the 3rd string, index finger on the 2nd, picking them together, taking the bender up, and then doing the pattern as such. Then we go up to the G position. What you're going to hear is me sliding the 3rd string as I get up there for that D chord shape for G, and then I'm going to pre-engage the bender like we already saw, right? Sounds like this. So that's the 3rd string you're hearing. Get in position, pre-engage the bender, and now I'm going high E to B string down. Then I'm doing the pattern here. So that's actually a 3 and 1 string alternate. Then we go up here to the A position. Again, the 3 and 2 strings together to start us. And then 1 and 3 strings. Then our octave D chord. And then 1 quick blast for A. right, that's pick hand for the D chord section. Chapter 2, we're calling this the 7th chapter because like chapter 1, we're using an open D chord. Just think of a D7th chord this time, except we're going to be using that shape up here for the G and A part of our backing tracks. So that's what we're using for the G and A part. For the D, we're going to be using what we call the bender box. We covered this in detail in Tips and Tricks Volume 1. Again, that link's up there on the top of the screen. And for the bender box for D, that's your index finger covering the top 2 on the 5th and your ring finger going over in the 3rd string 7th. Right, top 3 strings sound like that. And then you get your bender involved and we're having fun with the bender box in D. And then we're using our little finger where it's already positioned, that high E7th, and we can throw that in as our accent note. So that's our D bender box. Then we're switching over to that 7th shape for G that I just showed you. We can use our little finger 1 fret up on the high E for accent notes. 2 up for A. Little finger again, accent notes. So here we go. We're D bender box into the 2 7 shapes for G and A. And then I do this little move to get out of this section. Really what I'm doing there is I get to the top there with the A on the 7th shape. Let my little finger cover the top 2 strings on the 10th. I'm starting with the B string, and then high E, and then a quick dead note. So it's really 3 things. Bender's engaged now. And then I go back to where I was on that D bender box. My index finger goes right back to the top 2 on the 5th. Ring finger falls naturally on the 3rd string 7th. And I just start on the high E, go to the B string and let the bender down, go straight into that 3rd string 7th. And then I go ahead. You can either hit 3 and 2 together and take the bender back up. You're still in that D bender box shape. And then I'm going to go to that A part of the backing track just for that half beat. And I've already got my middle finger right where it needs to be, which is above the 3rd string 6. So I'm going to drop my middle finger down there. Now I've got my index finger top 2 on the 5th, and now my 3rd string is with my middle finger on the 6th fret. What I'm doing there, honestly, is just making the first 3 strings of an A bar chord. And since we're going to play for that little bit in A to get us on out of this progression, this is going to work nicely. And this is what I'll let the bender down with. I'll go up in D with the bender box, drop the middle finger on the 3rd string 6th, and hit the 3 and 2 together to come down in A. So I'm up in D, down in A. Okay, so we've got all right, that is the 7th pattern there. Again, with this D bender, this is where you want to kind of bend it and pick it to your flavor. But ultimately, it's just those 2 shapes, the D bender box. Let's move a little closer now if you want to see what the pick hand's doing. Okay, here's what the pick hand is doing for the 7th chapter. Again, there's no pick, it's just my thumb and index fingers alternating together. We're starting in that D bender box. I've got the thumb on the 3rd string, index on the 2nd, so we can take the bender up, and then the high E. Then we're alternating back and forth. Going to our G7 shape. that's thumb, index finger, and then back to the dead note on the thumb. And then 3 and 2 together, and then down. All right, that's pick hand for the 7th chapter. All right, chapter 3, the 5-1 lick. I call it that because we're actually starting in our 5 position, the A chord, going back to the 1, which is the D. So we're starting kind of in A and going straight to D with our bender. A, D. So the lick sounds like this. And then we're moving it to G and A up here. Now we're working out of the D bender box. We just covered this in chapter 2, but if you jump straight to chapter 3 because this was your favorite, then let's do that real quick. The D bender box is your index finger covering the top 2 on the 5th and your ring finger falling next to it on the 3rd string 7th. So the top 3 strings are this. And then with the bender, we get to the D bender box. Of course, we can use our little finger on the high E7 for accent. In this case, we are going to be starting like that. We're starting with our middle finger down there on the 3rd string 6. And again, that's sort of like the top 3 strings of an A bar chord, right? And then we're picking that and rolling straight into, with our ring finger, the 3rd string 7. So we're picking and then rolling like that. And then we're going ahead and hit that B string 5th, already covered with our index finger, and then come right back to the 3rd string 7th. So it's, and then we do the 3-2 string together, take the bender up for D. Now the bender's engaged. I'm going to do the high E accent note on that, my little finger on the 7th, come right back to the 3rd string, take the little finger off and do high E 5th, already covered, B string to let the bender down, and then back to 3rd string 7th. Now, that's our D bender box. We already just covered that. Let's move that exact shape up to here. Top 2, 10th, 3rd string 12th. That's for G. Now what I did in the intro is I just gave it a little bit of a different picking pattern. I paused, I went. So I went like this. Again, in each of these, the bender's going up once and coming back down. 1 engaged, 1 unengaged. We take this exact shape up 2. Now we're in A for the bender box for A. Top 2, 12th, 3rd string 14th. Same pattern. And then we're going to do the exit lick that we did in chapter 2. In case you jump straight here, all I'm doing is I'm going down. You can use any finger you want. I'm using my little finger because that's kind of easy. You just go to the top 2 on the 10th. You start with your B string, pick it, take the bender up, and go right to your high E next to it. Then a quick dead note. So it's 1, 2, 3. Like that. Bender's engaged now, right? Then we drop down to the D bender box we just learned. So index finger goes top 2, 5th, ring finger, 3rd string 7th, and we just work our way down, starting with the high E. When we get to the B string, the bender comes down with it. D bender box still in our shape. We're going to go ahead and 3-2 together, take the bender back up, high E. And then we got to do that quick A, so I'm just going to drop my middle finger down there in the 3rd string 6, and then I'll hit the 3-2 together to come down in A. Remember, going up in D, coming back in A. Up in D, down in A. So all together. Up to A. All right, that is the 5-1 lick. Let's get up close and personal for what the pick hand's doing. All right, here is pick hand for the 5-1 lick, chapter 3. Again, with all the other chapters, I'm not using a pick. I'm using my thumb and index finger, alternating and together at times. So I'll do it real slow. We are starting with the riff here with the thumb going straight into the index finger. Moving that bender box up to G, doing the same riff with a slightly different cadence. Up 2 for A. And then our exit lick. I'm using thumb, index, and then back to the thumb for the dead note by lifting my fret hand up at the end. Down to the D bender box. And then 2 together for the A, 3 and 2 strings. All right, that's what the pick hand is doing for the 5-1 lick. All right, so there you have it, all 3 chapters in the books now. You are dangerous with all 3 of them. Again, very simple, just taking very simple chord shapes and letting our bender and our pick hand do the work for us and take us into that twang sound that we so desire here at the Bender Bunker. A couple of thoughts before I let you go. First of all, don't make the mistake of forgetting that you can transpose these easily, super easy actually. They're super simple. Let's go to like that 7th shape lick that we're doing D, G, and A. Well, let's say we want to go to E, B, and A. We're doing a 1, 4, 5, and E. Well, just take that D, go up to your scale here to E, just go up 2, and then do everything 2 up, and you're in E, B, and A. So don't forget you can transpose these on the fly, no problem. Second thing, I want you to concentrate. Once you get these down, I want you to not fall into the trap that I did my first year. Is when I learned something, I would tend to go, okay, I'm going to do that thing I just learned verbatim. I gave you 3 different chapters, and once you get comfortable finger-wise and bender-wise with them, I want you to make sure you mix them up, make an exercise out of it. So let's start with our open D chord, and then we'll go to our 5-1 lick, and then we'll end with the 7th. So that sounds like... That's mixing all 3 chapters together, and then your vocabulary starts to enhance by mixing them all together. That's just how it works. It's math. All right, that's all I've got for you. Chapter 2 of Tips and Tricks for First Year Benders is now in the books. I hope you get something out of it. Again, if you did, give us a quick thumbs up. Help support the channel here with the YouTube algorithm. I appreciate that. And I will see you again real soon with more hot bender action here on the channel. But let's end, as we always do, with our motto. It's never too late to go on a bender. I certainly hope you do, first year or otherwise. And I'll see you again real soon here at the Bender Bunker. But until then, keep it bent.